This movie's awesome.
What is it about the turtles, Joe, that makes them so cool and timeless? Why does the Foot Clan hideout look just so super rad and immersive? And how much radiation are these chemically mutated turtles putting out? Is April in danger? That's what I want to know.
I have an entire note that's basically like, hell yeah, like cool kids skateboard hangout with smoking and stuff and
Oh, yeah.
poker. That's like the worst thing that can happen. First, can we talk about, did you just interrupt our beginning broadcast with your own broadcast?
I did, yeah.
It's anarchy.
Typical 90s anarchy fashion. Let's look at all of those questions I posed and more on today's episode of the Uncultured Cinematic Universe. We are the podcast where two friends show each other movies, shows, and anything else that they absolutely need to see, hear, or experience. Today, we're looking at the often imitated but never to be outdone cult classic Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990. I am your host, Justin, and with me, as always, is the uncultured Joe. Say hello, Joe.
Hello, everyone. It is a new damn year. We're bringing a new energy to this.
To clarify, it's still 2023.
Yeah.
But we've been doing this for a year.
We celebrate our new year in September here at the UCU.
Get behind it.
And so we have completed 1 year of podcasting and are celebrating by watching radioactive reptiles. Or are they amphibians? What are turtles?
I think turtles are amphibians.
Do they do? Is it like a turtle tortoise thing? They do like water.
Yeah, they can start in water. Yes, tadpoles. Yeah, they start in water and then they go to land. That is how an amphibian is defined. I learned that from Sesame Street a couple of weeks ago. Thank you, Sesame Street. Shout out, Jim Henson.
Oh, nice puppetry again.
Coming back, always comes back, and we'll talk about Mr. Henson here in a second. But yeah, so as Joe mentioned, yes, this is marking the first year anniversary of starting the podcast. And we kind of wanted to shake things up a little bit and do something a little different. You know, if you follow us along, all 12 of you, every month we do sort of something like a little bit of a theme, either whether it's related to the time of year or the month specifically. And on the last episode, we got towards the end and we're like, what the fuck are we going to do for September? Labor Day movies, right? So we decided to kind of throw out the idea of like a wild card month theme session, which is something we're going to come back to over and over again. But this is the first foray into wild cards. They're not these two movies that that me and Joe are presenting to each other aren't really in any way connected, I don't think.
Yeah,
they might be, but it's just movies we wanted to talk about, and
yeah,
I think that's the crux of the podcast.
It'll be fun to talk about the different ways that they may or may not be connected. But yeah, like Justin's saying, we'll probably end up just alternating in mini-series episodes with wildcard episodes, just so we can get in the movies that we want to talk about. So, for example, we'll do kind of a wild card month in September, and then in October, obviously, it's going to be
back to
horror-tastic, spooky season. Bit of a wild card again in November, and then Christmas season comes in December. So
and then we'll see what happens in January.
We'll just row with it, and we'll kind of keep giving you the hits.
Yes, we will row our boats right alongside.
Starting with
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
This radtastic movie from 1990 that I can't make heads or tail of. So, Justin,
yeah.
No. It's not going to be bad. I swear. I've been such a downer on your movies lately, and I'm really ready to like dig in on this one because there's so much to talk about.
There is absolutely so much to do it. So yeah, let's start talking about some of your first impressions. What was your background with this familiarity with the property?
Yes, I am so aware that there's so much Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle stuff out there. I knew who they were. I knew about Rat. I knew about Shredder Person. And I knew about Pizza. Of the turtles themselves, I knew that there is the leader, the angry one, the young one, and the smart one, right? That's kind of the archetypes that they evolve
Pretty
into.
much.
Not necessarily in this movie. You can tell this is definitely them starting out. But I had never actually seen or like really like experienced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle culture. I just knew like it lives up to its name. It's insane, zany, rad, crime fighting kids in the '90s,
Yeah.
and they're doing cowabunga on a skateboard.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's so cool.
My primary thought watching this, I mean, I was aghast at so much of it, but I came out of it just thinking like, hell yeah, that this insane concept can spawn such a wide ranging franchise.
Yeah.
What an age that we live in. That
Yeah. Like,
have something called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that literally makes millions and millions of dollars at the box office and
yeah.
has multiple movies associated with it. And I'm assuming TV shows. How did this start?
Yeah. TV shows, movies, comic books, video games, you name it. All kinds of, all matter of, what was the term you mentioned a couple episodes ago? Not omni-channel, but it's like it's multi-channel.
Oh, transmedia.
Yeah, right? It's
Yeah.
it's everywhere.
Yeah.
And so this movie in particular from 1990 is really early, really early in the overall journey of it becoming this behemoth, um, you know, staple in culture, in modern culture. So yeah,
Mhm.
this movie is based on a comic book series written by Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird. Their names pop up, in the opening credits and in the end. Um, yeah, so this was the comic book was started as a parody of superhero comics at the time in the 80s in 1987. And you can kind of pick apart each word and you can kind of identify where it was. So like Teen Titans, the DC property,
Mhm.
that's where they got teenager from. The Uncanny X-Men, they are mutants, so like mutant. Ninjas were featured very prominently in the Daredevil comic series with the
Oh yeah.
the the hand and all that kind of stuff. So that's where they got the idea. And then they're just like, we need to attach it to some kind of creature that just fits at the end. And it's just like, just fucking turtles, dude.
Hang
Um,
on. Hang on. Is that why the evil group is called the
the
Foot?
Foot, yes,
I was
100%.
laughing so hard. I was like, why are they called the Foot?
The Foot Clan. Yeah, it's based on the hand. Crime, karate, kung fu syndicate in Hell's Kitchen in the Daredevil comics. And that's
That's
exactly where it comes from.
fantastic. Yeah, when I pull up this movie on Wikipedia to kind of like get my notes together, it does describe it as a superhero movie, which I never really considered that before, but I guess it is. Like they are superheroes. They have superpowers.
Yeah, they're
They're
unassuming, like just
they
regular ass
they
turtles,
can kick.
and they can fucking stand upright and kick and consume human food, and that's a
Yeah.
superpower in and of itself. And they can talk.
Mhm.
Edit here. 1984 was when the comic book came out, originally in black and white,
Mhm.
due to the budgets that Eastman and Laird had. Um, but if you look back at some of those old comics, it just adds such a neat aesthetic. They all kind of, the turtles look the same. It's not the iconic, split into the four specific colors.
Mhm.
But they all kind
Oh,
of look.
they all look exactly the
They're
same?
black and white, but there's subtle differences. Obviously, with their weapons that they have. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
the weapons and the colors are the clear indicators here, but like there's stuff where like Raphael's a little taller, Michelangelo's a little
sure,
shorter, Donatello's like kind of the skinny one,
yeah,
and then uh who's the other one? Leonardo is
Leonardo.
he's the average of all of them. He's the leader. He's got everything.
Yeah, it's a neat look at archetypes and character traits and that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
Like you mentioned at the top, there is the definite like leader trope. There's the hothead trope. There's
Mhm.
like the tech smart mechanical one, and then just like the loosey goosey, played for comedy kind of a thing. Fourth archetype, which is really neat.
And I think that's something that they've definitely developed. Like I haven't even seen the movies since this movie, but I know that absolutely becomes a thing. Especially we are we're in September of 2023, so Mutant Mayhem is still in theaters
I
somewhere?
think it is. Yeah.
Did it just leave?
I think it's still in theaters. The Seth Rogen and I can't remember who else
Mhm.
co-produced with him, but yeah, the latest iteration in the pantheon of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Yeah, super cool. I haven't seen it yet.
It's gotten fantastic reviews. It's like animated in the same style as like Across the Spider-Verse
Yeah,
and
right. And
uh,
one thing that I know that they did that was really cool that I thought was awesome that is that they got actual teenagers to do the voice acting of
yeah,
these Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's not adults, well, clearly in their 30s, trying to sound young or try to sound hip. It's like, no, these are actual kids doing it, which is so
adults
cool.
and my jaw was on the floor. Corey Feldman is a voice
Of
in
Donatello.
this
Yeah,
movie.
Donatello.
Like,
It's amazing.
not even credited. I was so confused at the end because I was looking it up as I was watching. I was like, "Who are all the voice people on this?" I gasped. Call back to our fucking Gremlins episode.
Yep.
And
Corey Feldman
they
just always pops up.
they don't credit him. They credit the body actors
Yeah.
in the credits at the end. So it's interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
let's get in. We'll get into that. Yeah, so let me before we get into like the overview and all the stats and things like that, give me more
mhm.
further first impressions. From the opening scene, you're like, all right, I'm sitting down, I'm letting this movie wash over me. What's going through your brain as this movie starts?
It 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 feels very much like a classic Justin movie. I mean, call that the premise of our podcast, if you will. Um, it's got the same level of like puppetry and sets. It called back a lot to Little Shop of Horrors to me. Remember when we
Oh
talked
yeah,
about how like even these grimy sets of New York look, they're kind of ones that you want to explore and kind of play
yeah,
around in.
yeah.
Like I want to like take a tour through these. I'm assuming they're sets. I'm assuming they didn't like empty out New York City to film this.
You never know.
Um,
You can never tell. But yeah, like the sewers,
mhm,
yeah, all the set pieces, the rooftop, the thrift shop that April lives on top of is so like lived in and homey. The
mhm.
farmhouse, like I love the farmhouse sequence. It's so cool. Like all these sets are so interesting and so really, really like well developed. Uh,
Uh-huh.
like you said, like you really just want to go there and see them.
Yeah, the sets are cool. I thought my main note coming out of it was like what was like it was interesting to look at the character arcs in this movie because it's almost not about the turtles. I mean, obviously, like they are the main focus of the movie, but in terms of like whose story we're following, it's kind of about April in a way.
Yeah,
And
she's
then
obviously yeah.
she's the one who has like a beginning, middle, and end almost. Like the turtles are essentially the same at the beginning of the movie compared to the end, and that's maybe where I wanted like a little bit more um movement, a little bit more growth happening. Like I wanted there to be some conflict with like, can they come out of the sewers and be with the normal people? Are they going to be accepted and stuff like that? But that's not really what the movie was trying to do.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be kick butt against the foot.
That's how you do
um
it. And introducing this wild, super antagonist with the Shredder, with insane spiked details and just fucking fashion. Like that is
hmm.
drag, baby, right there.
I I need to know your thoughts on like what's Shredder's whole deal? Like why does he have groups of children stealing like microwaves across the city? What's the story there? What do we think his ultimate plan is here?
Put a pin in that. We'll come back to that. We'll talk about the whole like
I had a lot of
what is
notes on
the
that.
economic structure of the Foot Clan, and we'll get back to that.
What's his 5-year plan here?
Can
Um,
you, Mr. Shredder, can you tell me what your 5-year plan is? All right, so let's look through some things here. So this movie was released March 30th, 1990, directed by Steve Barron, known for his music videos. He did such classics, Joe, as Billie Jean,
okay.
Summer of '69. Mind you, there's no apostrophe in '69. Money for Nothing by Dire Straits, Take on Me by Aha. Like
Oh
amazing.
wow, the
Like
drawing one.
he's got like a great portfolio of music videos, and he's done several feature length films, notably this one, and he did Coneheads in 1993, I think.
Do you know
That's
the
based on
thing?
the SNL skit.
Do you know the thing in like the 80s, 90s, and 2000s where like there'd be a music video attached to a hit single from a movie and like the actors would come back and star in the music video somewhat?
Mhm, mhm.
So you got like Cyndi Lauper and the Goonies.
Yeah.
I could so easily see that happening here. Like the big rap song that plays over the credits. Is
Ooh.
there a music video to that the Turtles just like show up in and are in the background of?
No, because so at this point, this movie is, this was an independent release. It was not didn't have a whole lot of confidence in it, so they weren't gonna do the big marketing merch push into that yet. In the second one,
Uh-huh.
which we'll probably come back to, there is a very famous rapper at the time who shows up in the film, and I think there is a music video attached to it, at some
Who
point,
is it?
probably. I'm not gonna tell you because what if we come back to it?
Oh,
Later
you mean like we're gonna come? We should just have like a Turtles miniseries.
we should have a Turtles
There's so
miniseries.
many like different little things to check in on.
Yeah, I have so many notes on this because, like, uh, I am so, like this is my earliest memory of, like, one of my favorite things ever, like, that I became
Yeah,
obsessed with,
this
right?
is such a
And
Justin thing.
it really is. That was part of my personality, you know? But I got the idea to do this movie, or to talk about this movie, from a TikTok I saw.
Hmm.
I had seen some other stuff, and we'll repost it to our Instagram. Actually, I think it's on the artist is on Instagram. But this dude did, like, CGI animation to make it look hyper realistic based on how these turtles look, not like the newer versions or make them look crazy like the Michael Bay movies or anything like that. And it's so faithful to
Uh-huh.
the style, and it's incredibly badass. It looks so cool. He did one video over the summer or earlier in the summer, and then he came out with another one like a couple weeks ago that I saw. And like the music that he attached to it is the fighting music at the end, like with the Shredder one-on-one battle. And that's the song is just so amazing. Like, I watched this and I watched this on TikTok and I had like a visceral reaction of just like, "Oh my god," like a wave of nostalgia and just be like, "Fuck it, that's it. I know Joe has never seen this movie and we're just gonna wedge it to September." And that's why we're gonna do it. And that's
I
why we're
mean,
doing this.
that is the thing that kind of makes this movie successful and memorable in a way is like the turtles themselves are so blessedly live action. And so we've obviously talked at length in the past around like puppetry and like the pros and cons therein and how it can make something so much realer because you're actually filming something on the screen and these people are actually interacting with something.
Right.
That's very much present. I think I know what you're talking about. Like I would love to see a version of this movie that has that same level of puppetry and these same like suits that they're wearing with like maybe like CGI touch ups
Mhm.
to have like a little bit like smoother like lip interactions and like eyeballs and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that would be
I
cool.
think that would look really cool.
But that's still part of, like, the charm of this movie is that the level of effort and technological advancements that they made to
Hmm.
create even though the lip syncing isn't quite there, but the way that the faces are able to emote, and the voice acting is just impeccable.
They
Uh, yeah,
they
it's so good.
went like fully off of the design of the comics. Like you can tell, like it looks like the comics brought to life.
Right, and it's amazing. One other thing on the director, Steve Barron, he did a TV miniseries in 2012, and here's another good connection to the podcast. It was Treasure Island,
Oh
starring Eddie Izzard as Long John Silver.
my god.
What? I want to watch that now.
Camp classic.
It's so cool. It's got to be amazing. Eddie Izzard in it, like they would crush it. They
Now that
do
you know the
crush it on
Treasure
TV.
Island story, like that is primed for you.
Yeah, I can now just dig my teeth into it. So I'm gonna have to find that.
Hmm.
All right, so this movie had a budget of 13.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Cleaned the fuck up at the box office,
This movie
202.
made so much money.
So much
Uh,
money. This was the highest grossing independent film up to that point.
were you one of the kids seeing it at this time
I
in
was
1990?
I was barely 3.
Okay, so you're a
So
little too young.
a little too young to see it, but I do have and I still have it. It's in the other room. It is the original VHS of
Hmm.
this movie, and I wore that clean slap out. I watched it so goddamn much.
Mhm.
And so like I grew up watching that movie over and over and over. I watched the cartoons over and over and over and over and over. Um, so yeah, like that's like my totem, my Inception totem is
Yeah.
this very real VHS tape.
Yeah, even having like not seen these movies, Ninja Turtles is something that was like ambi-present for me throughout like the 90s and 2000s. Like it is such a part of culture that like these characters are iconic in a way.
Yeah.
And even more so now that they stand for the different like archetypes like we were talking about that they stand for.
Mhm.
So you not only have this group, you have individuals within the group that can each have their own conflicts, and like each one is now recognizable as, you know, the leader, the big one, the the smart one, the
Yeah.
zany one, all that stuff.
Yep. And you know, we'll touch on like some of the individual kind of um, character arcs that they go through. There are hints of it, and had
Mhm.
this movie been a little bit longer or kind of toned down some other stuff and kind of focus more on the turtles' growth, there were some really good bits in there that will come circle back around to. So
Just imagine like the year of Happy Meal cups that you could get off of this movie.
God,
Like so many Ninja Turtle plastic cups from McDonald's as
so many,
collectibles.
so many. Like, I think this like after this movie came out, like that's when the media marketing machine came out of just like we need Ninja Turtles everywhere.
This is
Like
Happy Meal culture.
toothpaste, happy, yeah, oh, 100% Happy Meal culture for sure. Yeah, so this movie stars Judith Hogue, Elias Koteas, and did you catch it? Did you catch a young Sam Rockwell?
Oh, I have. Is that Sam Rockwell in all caps in the middle of my notes? Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
A baby Sam Rockwell looking cool as fuck as
Yeah.
like just a punker kid.
He's
Very
like
cool.
punk leader number 1.
Yeah, right. With a goatee. He's like 18, but like with a rad goatee. So those were like the main human actors, but of course had an incredible host of talent for voice and puppeteering, martial arts stunt performers, and facial assistants. So most notably, like you already called out, Corey Feldman as Donatello's voice, and again circling back around to Jim Henson and Sesame Street and all that. Kevin Clash, if you remember, Kevin Clash is most notably renowned for his portrayal and puppeteering of Elmo in Sesame Street. He was the voice
Oh.
and lead puppeteer of Splinter, the rat.
Splinter, whose name I thought was Shredder for half of the movie until they said his name. But that's cool. I thought the Splinter puppet, in a way, was the most effective. Like
Yeah.
the emotion being portrayed out of this like gross looking rat thing. Like I love Splinter at the end of this.
He's so like wet. The wetness.
Oh, he's so like damp. It's just
Doing
like damp fur and
like
like mucus coming out of
yeah.
his eyeballs.
And it's so like and that's what makes it really convincing in his claws. And even all the turtles have sweat and stuff like that. And that's what like really sells it for me. It's just those little details. But yeah, so all four actors who were the in suit turtles also appear as cameos. So in the movie. So
Oh.
David Foreman, who was puppeteering bodying Leonardo, shows up as a
Mhm.
gang member, one of the gang members of the Foot. Michael Sisti, who did Michelangelo, was the pizza delivery guy at the beginning.
Fun.
Leif Tilden, who did Donatello, was a messenger of the Foot, one of the messengers. And then Josh Pice, who did Raphael, is the passenger in the back of the taxi. When
Oh, when
like
he's
Raphael,
like, "You're going to LaGuardia, right?"
yeah, it's like what the hell was that? Looked like a really big turtle in a trench coat. You going to LaGuardia, right?
So you're going to LaGuardia?
It's so New York. I love it. But that's super cool.
Yeah.
I thought that was really neat that they let them, of course, like you can't see their face, but give them a little bit of screen time. Super cool stuff. So I already touched on a little bit of the history of the comics. Started in 1984 with wild success, black and white. In 1987, this is where I got my years mixed up. That's when they struck the license deal with Playmates Toys for
Uh-huh.
the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle action figures. And it was estimated about $1.1 billion in toys were sold between 1988 and 1992. Not a small number.
Good time to be in the business.
All right. Yeah. Those toys were promoted alongside the 1987 cartoon, which came out first. So the comics in 84, cartoon in 87, live action movie in 1990.
So this is like prime time for that exact cycle, because you have this, you have stuff like Transformers, you have like G.I. Joe, all doing that same like toy to cartoon to live action. Let's make money all along the way and keep these kids happy.
Let's make money, baby, with cheap plastic. You know, that's
Cheap
the way.
plastic. Let them choke.
Fuck them. It's another dollar. So the TV show or the cartoon TV show ran from 1987 until 1996. The tone was shifted to more lighthearted silliness compared to the comics, which were grounded a little more dark. There's like blood and stabbing and actual using of the weapons versus just like silly, like slapstick kind of stuff, which they experienced a little bit here and there. Okay, so here's the main thing. Bringing it right back around to Jim Henson's Creature Shop. These turtle costumes were developed by Jim Henson's Creature Shop, and
I believe it.
This was one of Jim Henson's very last projects he did before he died shortly after the premiere. So he got to see it. He got to see it through, but he died shortly after. So this was the last thing he had his hands in. He said these were the most advanced like puppets he had ever worked with, and you can see it. The technical workings of like the face that they were able to do. They were able to dial in so many unique movements and expressions, and by use of like some kind of special rig, where a technician would be wearing a helmet to like capture the lip motion, and then like another guy with the remote control, and then obviously the puppeteer wearing the thing. Crazy stuff.
So the head, like there is a human head in the head, we're thinking, right? Like it's kind of wearing it over, and then like there's gears and stuff at play there.
I think, okay, so like if you can imagine from my neck down, I'm wearing a suit, the turtle suit, and then like a VR headset, think of like that's like connected with like a bunch of wires and shit like out the back. And that's the turtle head, and that's connected to so many gears and connections, and people are doing that.
They were probably like, thank God for this shell.
Yeah, where we can hide
everything.
Yeah. But yeah, so the movie borrowed a lot from the early comics, as well as the 1987 cartoon run. So there was like storylines from the comics, and then obviously the color coding from the TV show, and love of pizza, and like quick, quippy kind of stuff. You get some of that, like that Spider-Man vibes. Like
so many quips.
It's so quippy. It's so good. But I love every single one of them. Every line that they spout is a hilarious banger.
The one that I wrote down in amazement was, and I thought insurance salesmen were pushy. He screams that out like during a fight. How do you think of that?
They're just armed and ready with just like, if someone punches me in the face, I want to say like something face related. You know,
they're like not even hurt. They're like these robotic things that are just keep on going until Raphael gets knocked out for a week. How long was he unconscious and experiencing brain damage?
Like several days. Yeah, several days. He's got his shit rocked. Before we progress any further, let's go ahead and do this trailer, and then we'll let you do the plot. What do you think about that?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's just see. Ooh. Side note, this is not the official trailer. The official trailer sucks. I watched it, and the voice acting is not the right voice acting, so I found a fan-made trailer, and this one's better.
Thank you, Justin.
The outside world rejects you. This is your family. I am your father. I want you all to become full members of the Foot. There is a new enemy. Freaks of nature who interfere with our business. You are my eyes and ears. Find them. Together we will punish these creatures. These turtles.
It's now apparent that an organized criminal element is at work. Crimes without criminals, an invisible gang at work. Who are we gonna call? Unfortunately, the police are the only ones available to combat what some are already dubbing the silent crime wave. But perhaps the most disturbing siren is that coming from City Hall. April O'Neil, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
I am proud of my sons. You have learned the fight and courage of the ninja. Together, there is nothing your four minds cannot accomplish. And always remember the true force that binds you. With my final words, I love you all, my sons.
It's time to go back.
Yes. It rules so good.
This movie's so insane.
It is bonkers. I decided while watching that video, I want that tattoo. The scene where they kind of walk up and they're like, it's time to go back, and they're like in silhouette
At the farmhouse.
at the farmhouse. It's so iconic and powerful. So cool. I
It's
love
very artfully done, yeah.
There, okay, so I do when we go back eventually and watch the second one and the third one and the remakes and all this kind of stuff, you'll come to really love and appreciate this one because this one is the Batman Begins to the other ones are Batman and Robin, Batman Forever, silly, Adam West, silly camp.
So the other ones are sillier and campier than this one, you're saying?
100%. This one has dark, gritty, like interesting camera angles and cinematography. It's so great. Joe, I'm going to give you 60 seconds on the clock,
Oh, I don't know. Okay.
and you are going to provide for me the plot to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990.
Okay.
Are you ready? Here you go. On your mark, get set, go.
Okay, April O'Neil is the only reporter in New York in the 90s. She is investigating a crime syndicate made up of teenagers run by a older ninja named Shredder. She runs afoul of them and is saved by four mutant ninja turtles who she becomes friends with. The turtles live in the sewers and are kind of adopted by a giant rat named Splinter. April teams up with the turtles and also a hockey-themed guy named Casey. Splinter gets captured by Shredder. They have some backstory, and so April, the turtles, and Casey go and rescue him, and they convince Shredder's army of teenagers to band against him, and then they have one final showdown with Shredder after multiple fights with his ninja army, and they eventually just defeat Shredder. And then April gets a better job and kisses Casey. And that is it. And they're on a farm for some reason for a while.
To heal. Well done. You did it. 1 minute. Like you were vamping at the end. It's a very simple, easy to understand plot.
Yeah.
Turtles are hanging out.
It is.
Their dad gets kidnapped, and it's kind of like a reverse Taken, and then they got to go get him out. Even though they don't rescue him, he just shows up at the end.
Yeah, like he okay, I did leave out the little kid subplot where one of the kids kind of has a couple therapy sessions with Splinter while he is kidnapped, and they kind of bond over that, and the kid eventually lets him go, and then the people just don't stop them. They're totally cool with it, and then Yeah, Shredder and Splinter have a showdown, and Shredder, oh my god, Shredder falls off of a building into a garbage compactor, and Casey like throws a quip and crushes him. Like
Says,
it's
"Oops."
brutal.
Yeah, like I
And
remember.
everyone like laughs it off, and he's like slowly dying.
Yeah, getting crushed to death like a soda
Can you
can.
Are you allowed to tell me if Shredder like actually died, or
I
is he like the ongoing villain in the entire franchise? Is he their arch nemesis, or are there other
He's their arch nemesis.
villains?
He is their Joker, essentially, right?
Okay, but they have like a rogues gallery of sort.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, and they get like weirder and weirder as the lore expands and all that kind of stuff. There's alternate dimensions that pop up
Oh
eventually.
wow!
It's crazy stuff. Um, but yeah, specifically remember that the scene of like the hydraulic pump and it's like stained red with paint, but it like elicits like blood, and you're just like, oh my
It
god.
took me a second. I was like, "What am I watching here?" Oh my god! I thought he just like fell into a dumpster. No, he fell into like a trash compactor.
Yeah, and Casey's just pass like no big deal. Like I'm gonna kill this guy. Like whoops, not a big deal.
Casey's like, "Oopsie, bada bing." Um,
Beep, boop, bop, boop, boop, boop. Seinfeld, being just hilarious stuff. Crazy. Um, I wanted to get this out of the way because they're starting to look kind of gross. My cocktails, I'll show you
uh-huh.
here in a second, but let's
Mine's
do a little
mine's
cheers.
yeah, mine's melting.
Let's do a cheers. This is what's left over.
I
This is what I'm calling the Fightin' Fab Four. So
uh-huh.
this is the mix left over, but I wish I could pan down. But I have 4 shots of the green stuff, but with like different colored things to represent each turtle. So this one I think is supposed to be red. So this is Raphael.
Justin's taking 4 shots right now.
I mean, it's hardly any booze. There's
What's the red in it?
Grenadine. This one's purple, so this is Donatello. Yeah.
What's the purple?
Grenadine and blue curacao. Blue and red make purple, baby. This one's orange. This one is Michelangelo. The orange is
Uh-huh.
orange juice.
Okay, there you go.
All right, and then one more is the blue one, Leonardo, and that's just blue curacao in there.
Okay.
So what
Do you-
that was pineapple juice, rum, and melon liqueur to make it green, and then just like a little bit of color code for all the
Oh,
turtles.
your little tummy's gonna hurt later. That was
It's
impressive. Do you feel more powerful and unified as a family?
I do. I feel like we can take anything on now with our respective weapons. And this movie's about family. This is the original Fast and Furious. You know what I mean?
It really is. Yeah.
It is. What do you got over there? What's your melting beverage?
I have what I'm calling the totally radtastic ooze. I got to go for the ooze. Obviously, we both went in a similar direction. It's essentially a lime daiquiri. It's lime daiquiri mix rum and ice blended
Ooh.
up. But as you'll see, I sent you some pictures. There is an optional lighting component that you can add to it to kind of light
Yeah.
it from below and give it kind of a radioactive glow.
Yeah. That was
Are
amazing.
those are each sold separately. You can check out our website. And I would recommend having it with a pizza. I might have a little bit of a DiGiorno's later to get into the spirit of things.
So, Joe, we're recording this on a Saturday, and Saturday is our grocery shopping day. Every Saturday we have pizza. We're having pizza for dinner, baby.
What's your go-to pizza order? Where do you guys get pizza from?
We get it from the grocery store. We go to Aldi. We go to shout out Aldi. The Germans know what they're doing there for the deep savings, but they got a great like deli pizza. It's $7.50 for a large, and it's amazing. And it's the mega meat. It's so good.
Cowabunga.
Cowabunga in my mouth. You know what I mean? Cool. So well done again on the plot. Well done on your beverage. That picture that you did send me is fucking phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Ooh, my tummy feels warm. All right, so let's talk about this for a second from my perspective. What makes this movie a nostalgic classic? So first and foremost, my connection with it, things that I mentioned already. This is some of my earliest memories as a human. they revolve around the turtles. Owning this movie on the VHS, wearing it the fuck out. There was a NES original video game that came out, I think, in 1989, just before this or just after this. I can't remember when it came out, but we had that, and I played
Mhm.
that. And that game is notoriously very hard. There's an underwater swimming level that is fucking impossible.
Is that the same as like the arcade game that I always see? That's like the four of them on the street.
Different. This one
Okay.
is like a platformer, kind of like Legend of Zelda, that kind of thing. But there is that. I remember the arcade game Turtles in Time,
Mhm.
playing it a bunch at Chuck E. Cheese.
Yep.
One of my first early, like that I remember, Halloween costumes, and we'll share this on the Instagram. Ryan has pictures from when I was a wee lad in a Ninja Turtle costume
That's
for
such a great
Halloween.
costume.
It's
Because
so
you can
good.
you can do it individually. You can do it with the group of the boys.
Yeah.
Who's gonna be what color? This is like Sex in the City for young boys. Like which turtle are you?
I'm the sexy one. Which one's the sexy one? They're all the sexy one, you know? I remember watching the 87 cartoon when it came on syndication a whole bunch. Action figures, I had a ton of those. There was one specifically. So I mentioned that there is a like a dimensional, alternate dimension kind of element through the story that comes up later.
Uh-huh.
There's this like super battle encampment by one of the main villains or whatever, called the Technodrome, and it's this big round thing that opened up, and it had multiple levels. And I remember the kids that had those toys. I don't think I had it, but it was like a highly coveted toy in the turtle verse
That's rad as
to
hell.
play with. And this last note, I almost got to see them perform live. Let me explain. Um, this was at the height of their popularity in the early 90s. There was like a spin-off that briefly did a live tour. And I'll see if I can find videos. It is incredibly campy, really bad. Their makeup is awful. They're really sparkly. Um, but I'm pretty sure what I was going to see was a cheap knockoff because it got rained out. And like, what concert gets rained out? That's not in like a real place. But I remember being like 5 and being super bummed that I was going to go see Ninja Turtles perform and like play guitars and stuff, but it rained out.
Okay. Hang on. Because when you said perform live, I'm picturing, ninja action stuff. I'm picturing even Turtles on Ice. They're actually playing instruments, you're saying? Like, are they a band in the
This
comics or anything like that?
No. This was just like a pure spin-off thing of just like them just like singing songs about like kicking shell and eating
It feels
pizza
like
time.
they should be a band.
They totally could. There's like a whole van thing where it's crazy. But yeah, I almost got to see them perform live, and I vividly remember that. But it got rained out.
Turtles
Let's see.
Live.
One year at Dragon Con here in Atlanta, Ryan and
Mhm.
I went as April O'Neil and Casey Jones. There are pictures, and we will prove it on the Instagram. Ryan
Yeah,
had
she's already posted those. Yeah, everyone go check
Oh,
them
that's
out.
right. That's right. Yeah. With the red wig, and I had the hockey mask and a hockey stick. It's
You guys
amazing.
look really good.
All right, and then the last little thing about my full rounded out connection to this. Okay, so I mentioned the alternate dimension thing. There's a villain from this alternate dimension called Dimension X. So cool, right? The name is Krang. His name is Krang. And it's like he's like a brain. He kind of looks like a meatwad, but with tentacles. And
Okay.
he utilizes a mech suit, like in the stomach of this robotic mech suit, to move around, kind of like a brain within a body. It looks really weird. But it's hilarious. So when Ryan was pregnant with our daughter, we didn't know what the gender was. We didn't want to know what the gender was. We didn't want to know what we were having. So we just called the kid Krang because it was just like a brain inside of her stomach, which is hilarious.
It's driving Ryan around.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's just our final kind of like connection to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle universe, and it's amazing.
That's wonderful. I am very glad you had these influences as a child, and you weren't some lame Captain Planet kid. Like, this is much cooler.
I did watch Captain Planet. I did 100% watch Captain Planet. Let's be completely clear. I did, but I did love this way more. And this was like a thing like on the playground. It was like, who's going to be who? You know,
Mhm.
And it was always like the pretentious preppy kid who wanted to be Leonardo, to be the leader,
Ooh.
to like boss people around, and you're like, fuck that kid. That kid sucks. Who
See,
wanted to be Leonardo?
I would want to be Michelangelo to play with the nunchucks.
See, so everyone wanted to be Michelangelo because he's the silly one and he gets to, wave around nunchucks, right?
Justin's holding nunchucks right now. For anyone who can't see, are those real?
These are real. Yeah. You hear that? They're real. They're very real.
Where do you get those, and do you use them regularly?
So most people have like a baseball bat underneath their pillow or underneath their bed as like a home defense. I got those.
Is that your for real home defense?
No, we have a security system. Like what the fuck?
Do you know what my home defense is?
Well, Jonathan?
We have a really, really good rolling pin that's going to be my go-to if anyone breaks into the house. But maybe I should get nunchucks.
If you can get to the kitchen, you got to have something like in the room.
It's such a hefty thing though, and I know I can swing it so hard.
That's amazing. Just Joe with a rolling pin, just like, get out of my house. That's my purse.
I don't know you.
That's my purse. That is amazing. Yeah, so the silly kids wanted to be Michelangelo, who were just like, I just want to play. The tough kids who wanted to like do fighting wanted to be Raphael.
He's so scary.
He's the hothead, and unfortunately, almost nobody really wanted to be Donatello, because he was kind of like the brains of the operation. He was kind of the tinkerer of sorts. They didn't really explore that one or that trope in this one.
Right.
A little bit with Casey when they're kind of like fixing up the engine. That's kind of his wheelhouse.
He's kind of more of a wisecracker in this one. He's kind of just hanging out with Michelangelo the whole time. Leonardo, at the very least, is more of the leader. He has more one-on-one scenes. I feel like Raphael gets the most screen time in this one. He seems to have like the most emotional connection to Splinter,
100%.
and he's kind of on his own trying to break away from the turtles a little bit and go experience the outside world a little bit more.
Definitely. And I'm glad you brought that up. So the character arcs that they individually as turtles go through, not much between Donatello and Michelangelo. They don't really go through too much. And I do like that they paired them up because they are so hilarious together, of just like, oh, Leo and Raph are getting into it again. Like, you just want to go like fuck off in the kitchen. They're like, hell yeah.
They just come in and start like singing and dancing. They have like whole dance routines choreographed.
It's amazing. And they're just they're just there for a good time, But yeah, Raphael like is really like the emotional core of it. He's struggling with his anger. He's struggling with not being able to go up above the surface, which they kind of talked about. So it's kind of like Little Mermaid vibes, of that kind of thing. It's like, I want to be out there with the people. And Splinter's like, people won't understand you. They'll shun you. They don't want your help, that kind of thing. We need to be secret. And that's what the secret of the ninja is. We need to be in the shadows. That is our piece. And that's like his connection with Splinter, because Splinter is helping him through that anger. And then, of course, like Leonardo being sort of kind of the reluctant leader, he's trying to, and Raphael calling him out on that shit. Leonardo obviously is kind of like the teacher's pet. They one of the early scenes, Splinter's like, I think we need to meditate on what happened tonight, and Leonardo's like, oh hell yeah, let's fucking meditate, and everyone else is just like, fuck this is stupid. It's amazing.
Yeah. And another way that Raphael kind of gets singled out, I found, was that like the other three turtles sound almost convincingly like teenagers or early 20-year-olds, while Raphael sounds like a 45-year-old extra from The Sopranos a little bit.
He does.
And like they don't really try to hide it. Like this is a man.
So we can explain that, right? You see that he has his fedora. He's got his trench coat. He goes out in the world a lot. So that's why he sounds a little different, because he's
trying to like blend in a little bit more.
He goes and sees movies, he goes out and like roughs up ruffians on the street. So he gets a little more rough around the edges. He's got this pent up teenage anger. It makes sense. It's explainable.
Yeah. When I think like you never really focus on the teenager bit of Ninja Turtles just because they're turtles, but like I was surprised to find, one, they're all the same age, and 2, they're 15. They're all supposed to be 15. Maybe
They're
turtles
about to, yeah.
age differently.
Differently, kind of like dogs. Maybe not like
Yeah.
quite 7 years, but like maybe like 1.25 or something like that. So maybe they're pushing 18, pushing 19. But, you know, teenagers love to skateboard. They love to crack wise, and they love pizza. You know,
Yeah.
that's what a teenager makes. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, it really does boil down to this at the end of the movie. They have some moments where it's like, are they trying to flirt with April, and is April also trying to flirt with them? But that doesn't really come to anything because Casey comes in, is
Oh.
very forceful with April, and then they end up excuse me, kissing at the end of the movie, even though he looks like he smells like ass
So bad.
he's,
Like he's
never
wearing the
taken a
same
shower in
pants.
his life.
Like
He's like
that's
sleeping in the car.
yeah, like so this movie is incredibly sweaty.
It's very sweaty.
They're like the rat's sweaty, the turtles are sweaty.
This is like Gotham vibes. Like the people are gross and disgusting.
Like and like you talked about with Little Shop of Horrors, you know, Skid Row is just one borough over to New
Yeah.
York where they are, and it's not that far off. It's just dirty, grimy, gritty, and you love it, but it smells like BO and cut onions, and that's fine. But yeah,
It's
like Elias Koteas is just so like on the edge of charming and douchebag that like you just love to see their interaction. The sexual tension between he and April is just it's so palpable. It's great, and the turtles just like play into it. It's so great.
I could maybe use a little bit more movie time to kind of build that out a little bit. It happens a little fast for me, but to each his own, I guess. They're fine. You know, I'm glad they're together at the end. They seem like they should be together. And they seem supportive of each other, and that's great.
Yeah,
Keep
but
down Shredder.
so in talking about the attraction that the turtles have towards April O'Neil, where they're like, she's a babe. It's just harmless, kind of like teenage things.
Yeah, I don't.
Teenager kind of things.
It's almost like they don't know what they're talking about.
They don't know what they're
just
talking
like,
about.
They're saying these things.
But you can see when they're like hanging out in her apartment, or she's like caring for them at the farmhouse and that kind of stuff. Like it's a little more friendship, a little more maternal, that kind of thing that they get from her at that point. But prior to that, it's kind of like, oh, I'm gonna kiss her from the TV, and it's hilarious. So where they take a step too fucking far is in the 2014, I think, the first remake that they did with Michael Bay, or from Michael Bay.
The Megan Fox one.
Yeah. It is like full on, like super creepy red flag vibes.
They're flirting.
They toe the line unabashedly, and it is uncomfortable.
I mean, it's in the title of the movie. You can't miss it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we need to talk about the farm for a second, because
Let's talk about the farm. Let's go to the farm.
I was so taken aback by where we ended up here, because like we're in like grimy New York City. We're having like extended sequences of ninja fights every 5 minutes. They're kind of just like chugging forward. We're figuring out the secret of like why all these thefts are happening and what Shredder up to. Splinter gets taken, and then we stop all of that to go spend what looks like 2 months on a farm somewhere. And I understand from a story perspective why they do this. Like Raphael gets hurt, he gets knocked unconscious, he's kind of in a coma at this point, and they got to just like get out of town. They got to escape. Their hideout has been breached, right?
Yeah,
They go to
both
April's.
of their hideouts. Both of their hideouts. Yeah,
Right.
their underground hideout, and then April's place gets attacked and burned the fuck down.
April's entire building, she's the only person who lives there, gets burned down. So
Yeah.
they go to, it's April's family's old farm? Is that what we are led to believe?
It's just a throwaway line. She's like, you know, I haven't been here in years, kind of a thing. So like you assume it's like a family owned farm house or whatever on the outskirts of the city, probably near the Catskills in north.
Yeah, I was
Northern
going to
New
say,
York.
like, this is fancy. And so they're there, and then like the not pre-established April narration starts to come into play, and it's like she's writing Little Women or something. Like it's insane. She's like talking about each of the turtles and like what she thinks about them. She skips over Michelangelo entirely. All of the turtles get a little blurb from her except for Michelangelo. I felt so bad. And
I
then she just
know.
goes straight to Casey. She's like, and then there's Casey.
Who I want to
Um
just do so bad.
and she's like painting them like it's Titanic. It's so jarring. It's entertaining because I'm like, what the hell is happening?
Like,
Um,
it's a cool fucking drawing. She's talented as hell, you
yeah,
know?
yeah. I will give you this. Like, it leads up to Raphael wakes up. The turtles have to kind of come back together to figure out their plan for Splinter, which did lead to the emotional climax of the movie for me. Like, I truly was not expecting them to start meditating. They see Splinter in kind of like a force ghost vision type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, dude.
And then he like ends it and he's like, the most important thing is that I love you guys. And then he like disappears. I was like, I wasn't expecting to feel this way about a giant rat.
I know. And if so, you go through they pan around through all the turtles' like emotions of what's going
He's
on.
crying.
Yeah, like is it Michelangelo's crying?
Michelangelo's crying.
Donatello is trying to comfort Michelangelo. They're pals, right?
Mhm.
Raphael is like in amazement. He's like, I can't believe that happened.
Yeah.
And Leonardo is like, holy shit, that actually happened. Like, it's amazing. I love that scene so much. That's why I love the farm sequence so much for several reasons. It's all the things you're pointing out. The narration from from April is so out of left field, but it's so neat that like it takes them from scene to scene.
You know what it is? You know what it's like? I'll give it this. It's like the Sarah Connor narration when they go to the desert in
Yes.
Terminator 2 and she's like,
100%.
should I marry the Terminator? I don't know.
Am I attracted to this Terminator? I wonder what his operations are like underneath.
So I'll give it that. Like 1990 was a year for mid-road narrations coming out of nowhere.
Definitely, right? And it's not earned, but it's needed at that point to kind of like move it along a little bit. I love the
Mhm.
drawings that she does. I really love the sketch that she does of Leonardo just kind of just like waiting by the door and just watching Raphael just like, where do we put him? Do we put him in a bed? No, he's a turtle. Put him in the tub.
She sketches them like Da Vinci's like Vitruvian sketches and stuff.
Yes.
There you go. Always be referencing.
Always, yeah, dude. Greek? No, Roman.
No, Italian.
Italian. That's right. They're famous Italian artists and artisans. And then that's where you get like a lot of the bubbling up of the tension between Casey and April, and then you get the Raph coming to, and the apology from Leonardo of just like, hey, what I said before, like about us not needing you, I didn't
Mhm.
mean that. And Raphael's like, dude, like, don't, like, I'm fine. It's fine. Can we fucking eat or something? Like, what are we doing here?
They're brothers.
They're bros. They're just bros, dude.
This is brothers cinema.
Could you imagine with your 16 other brothers going
We'd all be
through this?
crying.
I know, it's amazing. And
I
then
only have 2 brothers, but like, yeah, it's the same.
it's the same. And then yes, the emotional climax of the fire scene and the force ghost of it all. Like, it's so far-fetched and out of place really, but it fits with just like the just ninja meditation kind of thing. It makes sense.
It's grown on me. I will accept it.
And then just the training sequence that they have just like out in the field is so cool. And then it leads up to that scene that I talked about where they walk up in silhouette and they're just like posed just so fucking cool. And they're like, it's time to go back. So, I mean, like, it's probably been several days, at least less than a week, because Casey Jones hasn't started to grow stubble yet. So they weren't out there that long. They just needed time to regroup, right?
Yep, they're at the farmhouse and then they decide to go back and what do? They just kind of show up on a rooftop and fight Shredder. How do they get to Shredder?
They go back to their lair underground to kind of just like pick up the pieces and kind of pick up the trail of the foot.
The kid.
Danny.
We haven't talked about the little rat face kid this entire time.
Danny, or it's just Dan now.
It's just Dan. I'm grown, Dad.
Dan. All right. It's hilarious. Yeah, so
April's boss's son is part of the kid gang,
the
and
relationship, the boss to subordinate relationship is blurred at best, and it is
he's just like
uncomfortable.
strolling into her house with his kid whenever he needs to talk to her.
Yeah, it's like, don't you need to work? Or like,
Yeah.
what is going on here? Crazy stuff. And yeah, so yeah, they go back there and they stumble upon Danny there, but then the rest of the foot comes in and they're trying to chase them out, and then it just like ends to the climax. And that's why they're like, they didn't know who Shredder was. That's
Mhm.
when they end up on the rooftop. They're like, who the fuck is this guy? And then like, let's just kick his ass, Seabass. Like let's
They
go do it.
they do kind of make fun of his name. I think one of the limitations of the puppetry in this movie, and because it's just the 90s, is the fight scenes do seem a little claustrophobic. I would have loved to have had more
Space, I guess.
space, smoother move. It always feels like they're fighting in a 5x5 box, like I want them to be like doing skateboards off of the wall and stuff in a big thing. Like I want them to be on skateboards more,
So
honestly. Like I want it to be outside. I want to be able to see them. I want them to be doing cool ninja shit instead of like
doing just cool ninja shit.
they are. I just
So you got to come back to the practicality of it, that these are
Right.
dudes in heavy, bulky suits. And that's why, like, when you see them skateboard fighting, like through the tunnels, it's like
Mhm.
shots of like their feet to show, like, all right, they're skateboarding. And then we're going to do a wide pan shot of just generic skateboarding and like swinging a thing to like hit somebody. So, like, it
Yeah.
can't be as dynamic and claustrophobic. I'm glad you brought that up. So like jujitsu, kung fu, all that kind of stuff, like, is all about close proximity fighting. And that's where I think like this succeeds. It's not, wide expanse, just like a mess of characters just swinging fists and stuff. You want to see some of the close-ups of the spin kicks,
Mhm.
of the roundhouses, of the punches and stuff like that. And it's supposed to feel claustrophobic. And I think that that plays into just the fighting style, because it is supposed to be close quarters.
And I think it's to the movie's credit that the fighting moments shine most for me when they're doing things that are like specific to like turtle physiology. Like he like spins around on his shell, or he like dodges by like putting his head down into his shell.
Love that
and then he
shot.
just like screams out, "I love being a turtle."
It's so good.
That's where it's more successful to me. I wanted more. I want more of it all.
You know what? I just had this hilarious thought in my head. I would love to see the reaction of like a new recruit to the Foot Clan who has like, what are we fighting? We're gonna go fight like Ninja Okay, all right, whatever. I don't know what that means. And they show up to the fight and they're just like, "Ah! What am I fighting here? This is horrifying.
Green devils.
This is terrifying." Hilarious stuff, I want to talk about some iconic scenes and lines that pop out to me, and then we'll round off here with the end game and final thoughts. We already talked about what the heck was that? Looks sort of like a big turtle in a trench coat. You going to LaGuardia? It's so good. I always knew this quote in the back of my lizard brain, but I didn't know what it meant until like very recently. Probably on this most recent rewatch. It's like, you like penicillin with your pizza?
Oh my god!
And I was
I
like,
wrote
oh,
that down.
I get it now.
I
didn't
don't
know what
get it.
penicillin. So it had mold on it. Mold. That's where penicillin comes from. Penicillin comes from mold. It was an old moldy pizza.
I didn't connect that the pizza was moldy.
Danny was like, I've been down here for a couple days. I ordered some pizza a few days ago. It's probably still here. And they're like, oh, yes, let's go find it. And then it had molded all over already. Penicillin. I'd never
didn't
got
catch
that.
it. That goes so many levels deep. I wrote down, what on earth is the penicillin on the pizza bit?
That's where penicillin comes from, baby.
I'm glad.
You already talked about the I love being a turtle. So cool. Cowabunga. I made a funny from Splinter at the very end. Great. The final rooftop fight scene where they're kind of like taking turns fighting against Shredder is so cool. You get some of their ideas, the ideals of like their fighting style.
Hmm.
Um, Raphael kind of like dives at him because he's just kind of like a hothead. He doesn't think before he acts.
Hmm.
Donatello's kind of going up at him with his staff to try and be like strategic with it. Not happening. Michelangelo's just kind of going and swinging, and Leonardo's really trying to is the only one who's really trying to like fight him, but is still bested by the Shredder.
Yeah, it's the dumbest way to fight him. They should have like combined. Why
This,
did they go one at a time? This is
yeah,
so. I
they're kids.
truly appreciate the fighting style, though. Yes.
They're kids. They don't get it. The rooftop scene is amazing. The opening scene where like you just get like just the barely hint of Raphael kind of like spying on April,
Hmm.
and you kind of just barely see the eyes through the flashes of the police lights, is so cool because you're like, oh, that's a thing. I'm seeing a thing in
Yeah.
the, and it's not like CGI. It's not a, a fake thing. Like it's real, and that's the moment that it grounds you of just like, oh, these are real turtles. It's super
It
cool.
is cool. It's very Batman. It's very ET. Like you don't really see the superhero. Well, not ET, but like you don't see the character at first. They kind of keep it secret and they focus on more of like the human characters to like build up the reveal a little bit more.
Yeah. But yeah, like you mentioned, I kind of would have liked to maybe see an alternate reality version of this movie where it did center around a little bit more of the story arc of the turtles coming into their own, what it means to be without Splinter, um, that kind of thing. But
Hmm.
I kind of get why they did it of April being the centerpiece because she's the human, right? And
Yeah.
that's the connection piece. And everyone can kind of tap into their own kind of built-in anger or whatever, and that's why Raphael is kind of the main one who goes through an arc a little bit. Um,
Hmm.
but otherwise, I think this movie is, I think this movie is damn near flawless. The shots, the lighting, the acting is off the charts. I appreciate so much about this. I don't look through this movie with nostalgic glasses. I still do. Like I remember lines and stuff like that. I remember scenes and all that. But like looking at it with a, 36, am I 36? I'm 36. With a 36-year-old eye to it and just be like, "Oh, that took some time," or like, "Oh, I see what they're doing here. That's really neat. That's cool visual storytelling."
There
You
is
know?
there is craft at play here.
Yeah, and that's why I really appreciate this compared to the other parts of this series that show up
Yeah.
later in life.
I mean
Joe,
the newer ones definitely look like sludge people, and then I am excited to see the animated version though.
I am too, especially with the ratings that Mutant Mayhem is getting. Joe, I want some of your final thoughts. What are your Jerry's final thoughts here on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990?
I do have a couple bullet points I want to cover. The Splinter backstory is insane. It's shot like a crazy music video. All of the flashbacks in this movie are like bathed in shadow and like spotlights on characters,
Which is awesome.
which I kind of love. The Splinter backstory essentially boiling down to a man wanting his girlfriend to come with him and his rat to America.
Dark, as
Classic
fuck.
romance love story.
Classic, but like dark as shit.
So, the rat being in a cage and also learning ninjutsu. He keeps saying like the art of ninja. Like, is that an actual fighting style?
I don't think so. So I took karate when I was
Right.
like 6 for a couple weeks,
Mhm.
and I don't think uh, ninjutsu never came up.
Okay. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. It's Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'll let it pass. And then I do want to circle back to like what is Shredder's
Deal?
like what is Shredder's what are the metrics that Shredder looks at to determine success and let his shareholders know that he's doing all right? What are we doing here?
So he's kind
Besides, I will add providing a kind of safe and well structured after school program for these kids.
so he's doing kind of the Joker chaos agent type of thing. Where do
Okay.
you really strike the heart of the city that you're trying to take over or whatever? You go after the youth, the moldable, um, you know, uh, uh, the youth who can kind of are already shunned by their parents, as demonstrated by Danny's dad.
Hmm.
You know, they're very impressionable, that kind of stuff. So he goes after the youth to build his Foot Clan of fighters, of thieves, to, rob and kind of like keep the police busy, kind of a thing. Like they didn't go super deep into like the machinations of like what the Foot Clan is, or what the main driving forces behind Shredder is. It's
It's
just generic, just like fuckery.
it's such an 80s and 90s thing for like these filmmakers not understanding what these latchkey kids do all day. So like they must be underground doing ninja shit. Like that's what they do.
And they're like, absolutely, that's it, 100% what we're going to focus on. Of course, they're doing ninja shit underground in
They're
this
on like a little Pinocchio Pleasure Island thing.
which looks amazing, like
Smoking
indoor
cigars.
smoking cigarettes, regular or menthol, playing poker, staying up all hours of the night. Like joining the Foot Clan, like looks really attractive.
I
You
kind of
know,
want to join the Foot Clan.
I kind of want to join the Foot Clan. Do I need to learn to fight? Like, nope. You can just hang out, but you got to steal some shit. So like, oh, I can steal shit. That's cool.
I feel like it's a group that rewards hard work and leadership. Like you could ask for less, you know.
Absolutely. The Foot Clan running for state senate. I'm Shredder. I want you to vote for me, kind of a thing. Yeah, Shredder's just a chaos agent of just like, I just want to fuck with the city.
Sure.
They didn't really kind of dive too much into that, but he's just like, I'm going after the youth, and I'm gonna fuck with the police and just steal. I'm just gonna steal. I want to steal.
I want to steal electronics specifically.
Electronic, because those were high dollar back in the early 90s. You got to
Yeah.
keep in mind the economic structure of the time.
Steal and sell.
Steal and resell, the
Yes.
resell market. This was before eBay. This was before the internet. He was big vision.
Shredder predicted the .com boom.
He could see that, so he was he was playing chess while everyone else was playing checkers.
Building up inventory. I got it. Okay, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Final bits here, Joe. What do you think now that you've enjoyed and taken in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I think that this falls in line pretty well with a lot of the movies that we've covered in the past in terms of like definitely like the puppetry aspect, and I am glad I'm experiencing the Turtles relatively close to the start, so I can watch some of the later entries and see how the story, the character, the archetypes here have grown, right?
Yep.
But I think this movie continues to show the benefit of like live action, analog, production value that you can touch as opposed to straight up CGI.
100%. 100%. I back you 100% on that, because there's just something so well lived into this.
Mhm.
The character design of the turtle specifically is so not off-putting. It's a little off-putting because you're like, it's like a 5 foot, 6 foot turtle kind of a thing, but the way that their faces are molded and crafted and the way that they can emote is so disarming in a way that you
Mhm.
just immediately kind of forget that, like, I'm watching like a puppet kind of thing. It's like, no, these are real creatures. Splinter is a real wet rat, and he's there and he has feelings and emotions, and they're going
Just
through something.
soaking wet.
Fucking soaking wet rat, dude. It is stank up in there. I'm so glad I got to share this with you. Like I said, I was so just over the top hype to share this movie because of what I saw on TikTok. Shout out TikTok. Because or whoever the artist is, we'll obviously give them credit on Instagram, but like for doing that work, that just ingrained in me, just bubbled up something that I haven't paid attention to in a long time, and I'm very appreciative of it.
Keeping the
Um,
culture alive.
Absolutely. There is one other piece I meant to bring up, and we'll share this on Instagram. And I couldn't find the video enough in time to bring it up here. So at the very beginning of the VHS tape, and I'm sure some of the fans who grew up watching this movie too, there was a partner piece at the very beginning, like a commercial or whatever, from Pizza Hut.
Oh hell
And
yeah.
and it's a weird like 2-minute commercial of like this crazy song, like kids playing baseball. It's got big Sandlot vibes, but it just like elicits like such a nostalgic response just thinking of it. I saw it, on like nostalgia TikTok, or those were the 90s, those were the days, or whatever. And it just everyone loves this thing. So we'll share that again. But little known fact, so that at the beginning of the VHS tape, which sold like gangbusters, Pizza Hut at the beginning, the in movie pizza is Domino's. Big miss,
Oh,
big swing and a
there's
miss by Domino's.
so much Domino's in this movie. I was like, they had Domino's in the 90s?
Yeah, big swing and a miss. Yeah, and that's before their pizza was good. They were shitty pizza. Anyway, Joe, we did it. That was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's find our way to the end games. I hope you are ready for this.
I've never been readier.
There were lots of ninja movies in the 90s, so many fucking ninja shows in the 90s. We really loved ninja culture in the 90s. Let's go kick some ass, Joe. Time for the games.
So if you'll notice, Joe, that was the exact same fucking song from the intro that I threw in to the tune of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles theme. Joe, this is 90s ninja shows and movies as described in the song. The early 90s, specifically the early to the mid 90s, were replete with ninja,
Yep.
kung fu, karate movies and television cinema all over the place. So I'm going to describe for you a very real TV show or movie that came out in the 90s that gives heavy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle vibes. Teenagers doing karate, fighting crime, kung fu, whatever. And it's going to be multiple choice. And there are 10 questions. And we'll just go from there. Are you ready?
So I'm giving you a movie name. That's the answer.
Yes. So I will give you a description of what it is. And I'll give you 4 choices. And you pick one.
Yeah, I'm going to get a perfect score on this.
You better. Set in Angel Grove, Anywhere, USA, this property follows a group of 5 teens who, after being chosen by a wise old sage and his robotic assistant, are granted the ability to transform into a superhuman fighting force. So the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, crime-fighting Turbo Rats, or radioactive karate teenagers.
This is Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but I wish it was the Turbo Rats.
Crime-fighting Turbo Rats. It's amazing. Question 2. Set in Charterville, Anywhere, USA, this property follows a group of 3 teens who, after stumbling upon a haunted mansion and bumping into an organ releasing a phasm who grants them their wish, they are granted the ability to turn into their comic book heroes. Is it Big Bad Beetleborgs, Mean Green Locust Swarm, Big Bad BattleBots, or Temper Tantrum Tidal Wave?
Oh, God, I don't know. I've never heard of this. Big Bad BattleBots.
It's Beetleborgs. Big Bad Beetleborgs.
What is that? Is that a movie?
That was a TV show, a kids' TV show from the 90s. Very silly, very ridiculous, over the top. Set in Little Tokyo, this property follows the antics of 3 cyborg fighters who are enlisted by a guard commander to take down the corrupt prime minister and his goons. Is this Karate Pasta Kittens, Jiu-Jitsu Jelly Jaguars, Samurai Pizza Cats, or Kung Fu Panda?
What was the second one again?
Jiu-Jitsu Jelly Jaguars.
I guess it's Samurai Pizza Cats?
That's correct.
Oh my God, these sound completely made up.
They're very real. Okay, question 4. Set in Earth Realm, this property follows a group of fighters who are chosen to compete in a tournament against Outworld, a dark realm who wants to take over the Earth Realm. Is it Street Fighter? Is it Mortal Kombat? Is it Tekken? Or is it Kung Fu Panda?
Shit. Oh. Can you give me the description again?
Set in Earth Realm, This property follows a group of fighters who are chosen to compete in a tournament against Outworld, a dark realm who wants to take over the Earth realm.
Okay, I think this is Mortal Kombat.
That is correct. It is
Okay.
Mortal Kombat. All right, question 5. We're halfway there. This property follows a young boy who stumbles into another world called Tau, where he encounters a host of colorful characters, namely a group of 5 anthropomorphic non-human warriors who represent the elements of the Tau world. Is this Warriors of Virtue, Samurai of the Rising Sun, Fighters for Wisdom, or Battle of the Virtuous?
Jesus. I will say Warriors for Virtue.
Warriors of Virtue, that is correct. They
Okay.
were anthropomorphic kangaroos doing karate. It's terrifying.
Where are you finding this?
I remember that movie. I don't think I saw it. Maybe I did. I don't know. Question 6. This property follows 2 teens who find out they are crown princes of a far-off Asian kingdom and their adventures to dethrone an evil colonel who currently rules the kingdom. There was also a large tie-in with the Sega Game Gear handheld video game console. Is it skateboard ninjas, BMX ninjas, surf ninjas, or hippie ninjas?
Oh God. Given it's the 90s, I would say Skateboard Ninjas.
Wrong. It is the surf ninjas.
The Surf Ninjas.
Yes, Rob
Do they-
Schneider's in it.
Oh God. Do they surf?
They surf and fight. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay.
Question 7. This property follows 3 young brothers who learn martial arts from their Japanese grandfather and use their newly harnessed skills to defeat a criminal mastermind. Is it We 3 Ninjas, The Ninjas 3, Teen Ninjas, or 3 Ninjas?
This one I do know, and I appreciate the effort to do multiple choice. 3 Ninjas.
Hell yeah, that movie fucking ruled. Movie rules. Question 8. This property revolves around a white orphan boy who was found by a clan of ninjas as an infant in an abandoned treasure chest and is raised by them. He later comes back home to investigate a murder mystery. Is this Los Angeles Ninja, Beverly Hills Ninja, San Andreas Ninja, or New York Ninja?
We really did like discover Asia for the first time in the 90s.
We did.
I'm gonna say Beverly Hills Ninja because there was a Beverly Hills everything.
Correct. That is the last Chris Farley movie that he ever did.
Aw.
Yeah. Question 9. This property centers on 2 skilled martial art experts who go out to fight against other fighters held on the streets in 5 countries and must also face off against 2 undisputed Muay Thai fighters from Thailand to become the world champions. Is it Street Brawlers? Is it Mortal Kombat? Is it Tekken? Or is it Street Fighter?
I think it's Street Fighter.
Correct. Well done. Way to lean into your instincts there. All right. Question 10. Last one, Joe. You're doing pretty good so far. You've missed 2.
Okay.
Out of 9. Well done. Set in New York City, this property follows 4 brothers who are trained in the traditional fighting style from their sensei, who fight crime in the street with whimsy, snappy one-liners, and unique traditional samurai weapons. Is this Biker Mice from Mars, Ooze Fighters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Young Adult Karate Tortoises?
Young Adult Karate Tortoises, as it's known in Canada.
For
This
the
is
win.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Locking
Damn
it
right.
in.
Damn right. You got an 80%, Joe. Well done.
Not bad. B.
Not at
I'll
all.
take it.
I know, right? The 90s were a wild time. Like you said,
It
we
is.
were discovering Asia and ninja culture for the first time, and we were just like piling it on.
And baby, that shit sold.
It did, like gangbusters. I watched almost all of those because I just loved it so much. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at karate. And being like a chubby 7-year-old, I couldn't cut it. I had to
cut it.
quit after 3 weeks.
Couldn't do the high kicks.
Couldn't do it. My body physically would not allow me to do it. So I
That's
gave
okay.
up. I gave up.
That's okay.
But I had the white belt. So
It's like more anti-establishment of you to not do karate. Ultimately,
it's the ultimate Ninja Turtle thing to do is to quit karate while you're ahead.
Yeah.
100%. Joe, that was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. What did you think? Was this a good like marker for our 1 year anniversary of this podcast?
I think any movie where you have such a passionate memory of it is a good movie to have on this podcast. And I'm really glad we got to expose your love of this movie and talk through it. And I'm glad I'm finally like getting a foot in the door of Turtle Kingdom. Like I seriously have not consumed Ninja Turtles before this. I've always been kind of on the outside.
Yeah, I mean, like you just missed the boat being born in 1994.
Mhm.
That's like right as the wave was starting to crash down a little bit. So you just missed it. Otherwise, you would have been immersed in it too. You know.
Yeah.
Although I'm not sure what a Catholic household thinks of crime fighting teenagers in the streets of New York.
Oh, they would have been fine.
Yeah,
They're in the Bible.
fighting demons. Yeah, I love it. So Joe, next week, or not next week, but the next episode, I guess, of this wildcard series, is your pick. What are we doing next time?
Yeah. So I was taking a look see at my list of movies that Justin hasn't seen, and we noticed that the only Studio Ghibli movie that you have seen is Spirited Away, correct?
Correct.
And so, in time for all of the Miyazaki talk these days, as he releases his latest
That's right.
quote unquote masterpiece, as it's being called,
Ooh, yeah.
I'd like for us to take a look at a movie that I didn't necessarily love at first, but has really grown on me since. And I really want to talk through it. It is Howl's Moving Castle.
Ooh.
We're going to have much to talk about.
Much to discuss. I
It
can't wait.
is a visual landscape of imagery and story.
I can't wait. We do so few animated features
I know, I'm really excited.
on this one, but they are all yours. So I'm really excited to do that because the only other Miyazaki, Studio Ghibli piece that I'm familiar with, barely, is Kiki's Delivery Service
Mhm.
and My Neighbor Totoro.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen any one of those other than just Spirited Away, which of course just blew my mind when I saw it as a early 30 something. So I'm excited to see this one because I know literally nothing about it. Is there a
Yeah.
castle and does it howl? Who's Howl? And
Keep it
why
that
do they?
way.
Yeah. So I'm excited for that. So keep an ear out for that one. In the meantime, we're going to be sharing, myself as a young child dressed as Donatello. Um, and other things from Dragon Con and Krang Pictures and super cool cocktail shots that we got. This shot that Joe got is fucking amazing. I can't wait for everyone to see. And then just more stuff as we build up throughout this second year of the Uncultured Cinematic Universe podcast. Very cool stuff.
Very excited.
All right, y'all. Well, we'll stay on the lookout for new updates. Be sure to like, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Check us out on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, wherever you get your pods that are casted. And we'll catch you guys later.
Grab some pizza.
Cowabunga.